Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my most anticipated book releases for summer. So, you guys know I do this every season. I have a thing. I'm a seasonal person. We all know this. I've done a video where I talked about my most anticipated books of the whole year, and then I kind of break it down seasonally because, as always, I miss books or not enough information about releases for me to share yet, or they just came out, things like that. I've done one for spring, and now we are here in summer, so we're going to do summer. So the books I'll be talking about today are releasing in June, July, and August, aka the summer months, aka the summer months, at least here in the USA. First up in June, I have My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey, which comes out on June 6th. This is her newest release. Tessa Bailey is a very popular romantic author, and this one is a little bit different because it's like a kind of murder mystery romance, maybe like romantic suspense, if you will, but still very summery, so that sounds like a lot going on, but you get what I'm saying. It's about a character that starts off her vacation in Cape Cod. It's supposed to be like happy and sunny and things like that, and then she discovers a corpse in their rental house. And now a bounty hunter has arrived on the back of his motorcycle to catch the killer and refuses to believe that she can be helpful. So basically this is a brash bounty hunter and an energetic elementary teacher, the murder-solving team nobody asked for, but thanks to these pesky attempts on my life, we're stuck together come hell or high tide. So it's very different from Tessa Bailey, but I really enjoy her books. They're very steamy romance books, so this is probably going to be that, with also a dash of like murder into it, so I'm intrigued, why not? Then we have Flying Solo by Linda Holmes, which comes out on June 14th. She wrote Evie Drake Starts Over, which I read a few years ago. It's been like since, I want to say 3 or 4 years since she released a book, so I'm very excited for this one. And all I know about this one, it says a woman returns to her small Maine hometown, uncovering family secrets that take her on a journey of self-discovery and new love. And so I'm thinking it's probably going to be similar to Evie Drake, where it kind of takes place in a small town. It's a lot of just character development. There's not a lot of plot to it, which I really enjoy with Evie Drake, so I'm hoping to really enjoy this one because I love a good small town read, honestly, and if it's like a good character development book, like going into a character's psyche, I also really, really love. Then we have Fake It Till You Bake It by Jamie Wesley coming out on June 21st. This one is a reality star and a cupcake baking football player pretend to be a couple in order to save his bakery in this sweet and sexy romance. And what drew me to this book is the cover, because the cover is beautiful, but also like I am a sucker for like any sort of baking competition or like cooking things. Like I love that. I've been burned a lot by books like that, but this one looks really cute. It's got a whole like bakery vibe to it, and it's also fake dating. Like I really, really hope to enjoy this one. Then we have Fake It Till You Bake It by Jamie Wesley coming out on June 21st. This one is a reality star and a cupcake baking football player pretend to be a couple in order to save his bakery in this sweet and sexy romance. And what drew me to this book is the cover, because the cover is beautiful, but also like I am a sucker for like any sort of baking competition or like cooking things. Like I love that. I've been burned a lot by books like that, but this one looks really cute. It's got a whole like bakery vibe to it, and it's also fake dating. Like I really, really hope to enjoy this one. Then we have The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark, which comes out on June 21st. This is a mystery thriller, and this is basically about a woman, I don't even know her real name. She goes by like different names. She changes her identity a lot. It depends on her job. She's a con artist who erases herself to become whatever you need her to be: a college student, a life coach, a real estate agent. Nothing about her is real. She slides alongside you and tells you exactly what you need to hear, and by the time she's done, you've likely lost everything. Enter in Kat, who's been waiting 10 years for the woman who upended her life to return. I'm guessing it's this con artist. And now that she has, Kat is determined to be the one to expose her, but as the two women grow closer, Kat's long-held assumptions begin to crumble, leaving Kat to wonder who's Meg's true target really is. So this just sounds interesting to me. I don't know if I've ever read a book about a con artist before, but I am interested in it. Hopefully I'll enjoy it. Moving on to July, we have Bet On It by Jodi Slaughter, which comes out July 12th. This is an adult romance book, and this one is about, hopefully I pronounced this character's name right, Aja? About a character named Aja who encounters the man of her dreams, but she's having a panic attack. And then the second time, he's being introduced to her as her favorite bingo buddy's grandson. From there, all it takes is one game for her to realize that he's definitely going to be a problem. And if there's anything she already has a surplus of, it's problems, don't we all? And then we follow Walker, there are only two things worthwhile in South Carolina, I'm guessing where this takes place: the peach cobbler and then his grandmother. So basically, I think this is it says a hastily made bingo-based sex pact. It's supposed to keep this thing between them from getting out of hand, especially when submitting their feelings means disrupting their carefully balanced lives. But emotions are just like bingo colors. They refuse to be ignored. They're just the whole bingo thing. You don't expect it to be about bingo, but it is. But you know, why not? Why not? And then we have a horror book, my friends, and that is Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey, which comes out on July 19th. This is all about a character named Vera who gets a call from her mother that says come home. And so Vera goes home despite her really not wanting to, because when she goes home, it's full of memories because her dad was a serial killer, so some dark stuff. And basically, she goes back to the home for the love. She goes back to face the love she had for her father and the bodies that he buried there, which is just like, why didn't they move? I'm hoping they moved. Like, why wouldn't they move? But either way, basically, she and her mother aren't alone. A parasitic artist has moved into the guest house out back and is slowly stripping Vera's childhood into spare parts. He insists that he is the one leaving notes around for her in her father's handwriting, but who else could it possibly be? So we basically have this person. She goes home to her dad's house that was a serial killer. Why they didn't move, like, I don't know. But either way, she starts to discover notes that are written in her father's handwriting. And so she's like, what the heck? So it sounds dark, sounds creepy. For some reason, I want to read it. So I'm going to read it. Then lastly, in July, we have The Bodyguard by Katherine, which comes out on July 19th. In this book, we have a character named Hannah who looks like a kindergarten teacher more than a bodyguard. But she is. She can kill you with a wine bottle opener or a ballpoint pen or a dinner napkin. And she just got hired to protect superstar actor Jack from his middle-aged corgi breaking stalker. I mean, this is great because I think a lot of times we see books where it's the men protecting bodyguard. But I'm all about a kick-butt woman that could take somebody down. It's like having Buffy be your bodyguard. Like, yeah, I'm for that. So this would be interesting. Like, he's gonna be like, man, this girl could kill me, but I'm kind of into it. Let's do it. Lastly, in August, we have a lot of releases. Usually this is not the case for August, usually for me, at least. It's always been kind of slow in August, but this August, this year, is pretty packed with books. First up being Just Another Love Song by Carrie, which comes out August 2nd. I read all of her books. She writes a lot of really cute romantic books, like not a lot of steam, but just a lot of cuteness in them. In this book, we have a character named Sandy who thought she would have her happily ever after with her high school sweetheart, Hank. And she wanted to be an artist, and Hank was the only boy in town that seemed destined for bigger things. And so they both had plans to escape town together, and then Sandy's plans fell through, and then she had to stay to help, I think, her family in Ohio while he went off to Boston to follow his dreams with the promise to stay together. I'm guessing that did not work out. And that plan fell through too. 15 years later, now Sandy runs a successful greenhouse, helping her parents with their bed and breakfast. Everything is perfect until Hank rolls back into town. And she's happy with the life she built for herself, but seeing Hank makes her think about how things could have been, I guess you could say. And so basically they have to work together. It's obviously second chance romance, and I'm interested in it. Like I said, she writes a lot of really cute rom-com-y books, and I really enjoy them, so I'm hoping to enjoy this one. Next up, we have Stay Awake by Megan Golden, which comes out on August 9th. This is a thriller book. I've read two of her books, I think her only two books, and I really enjoyed them both. So this one is basically about a character named Liv who wakes up in the back of the taxi, no idea where she is or how she got there. And then she's dropped off at the door of her brownstone. A stranger answers. A stranger who claims to live in her apartment. She reaches for a phone to call for help, only discovers it's missing. In its place is a blood-stained knife. So insert like... her hands are covered in scribbled messages like graffiti on her skin. and it says stay awake. So obviously we have a very unreliable narrator because she doesn't even know what's going on. She's like, what the hell? We're gonna have to figure out with Liv, like, why is her house not her house anymore? Why'd she wake up in the back of a taxi? Why does she have a bloodstained knife in her pocket? Why is there stay awake written all over her? What is going on? She doesn't know, neither do we. Let's find out together. That sounded like a really bad TV commercial. Hope I didn't turn you off. And then we have Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. This is about a PhD. This is about Phoebe Walsh, who's always been obsessed with true crime. Even analyzing the genre in her dissertation. I'm so proud I got that right. I'm bad with words. You guys know that. And basically, she's spending her summer in Florida cleaning out her childhood home, and she's trying to write her dissertation about this true crime thing and things like that. And she doesn't have a lot of time. It doesn't help that she's convinced that her new neighbor, Sam, is a serial killer. It's not long before Phoebe realizes that Sam might be something much scarier, a genuinely nice guy who can pierce armor to reach her vulnerable heart. So it's just like a romance novel mixed in with a lot of like true crime obsessed, I think, is appealing to a lot of us, including myself. Then we have The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead coming out on August 13th. You guys know I read her book, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, this year, and it is my favorite thriller. Like, I love it. So to say I have really high hopes for this one would be a vast, vast understatement. So this one is all about Shay and her best friends who meet in a college upstate, and they meet a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing him under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laura were the only ones who managed to escape. Now, 8 years later, Shay has built a life in a stony Texas suburb, but she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death, delivered by her favorite true crime podcast crusader. She begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is very much alive. Recruiting the help of the podcast host, she goes back to the place she vowed to never return, and basically she's pulled into a dark, seductive world where wealth and privilege shield brutal philosophies that also feel too familiar. So basically, this is all about Shay, who obviously got involved with a cult with this guy, and she got out of it, and her friend also got out of it, but then her friend was found murdered. So obviously, she has to go back to figure out exactly what happened. So it sounds very interesting. I don't think I've read a cult book yet, so I am very, very intrigued by this one. And like I said, I read a book by hers I loved, so I have very high hopes for this one. And then we have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood coming out on August 23rd. This is a romance book, and this is about Bee who lives by a simple code. What would Marie Curie do? Basically, she has to deal with this guy named Levi Ward, who is a co-lead with her. He's attractive, but obviously they don't get along. And now, like, her equipment is missing, the staff is ignoring her, and Bee finds her floundering career in somewhat of a pickle. But basically, her and Levi become allies and things like that. I'm not sure what this is about, but basically Ali Hazelwood writes a lot of like really smart women, which is just great, and a romance in between that. So obviously she's very smart, like she's about to work for NASA, for goodness sake, and I think she starts to fall for a guy that they loathe at first, but they become friends. So that's all I need to know. She wrote the Love Hypothesis, which I loved, and a lot of us did, so I have very high hopes for it. And then we have a new standalone Karen Slaughter book. We have Girl Forgotten, which comes on August 23rd. So after looking into it, I learned that Girl Forgotten is actually not a standalone. It is a sequel to a previous Karen Slaughter book, Pieces of Her, which I actually have read, so that's great. But anyway, so this is not a standalone. It's a sequel. It follows a character from Pieces of Her named Andrea, and I don't want to spoil it for you or anything like that. But basically, Girl Forgotten is all about Andrea, who is now a detective, and she has to investigate something. But anyway, just wanted to clarify that this is not a standalone. It's technically a sequel to Pieces of Her, which I'm very excited to read because it is a sequel of Karen Slaughter that I can actually read. So there's that. You guys know Karen Slaughter writes some really dark junk. I've only read one other book by her because I don't read a lot of super dark things, but I have high hopes for this one. Will it be dark a lot? Oh no, we'll see. Then we have Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney coming out on August 30th. So this book is basically about Daisy Darker, who's has families avoided each other for like years, but they all go back to their hometown, back to their home to celebrate Nana's 80th birthday. She lives in a crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island. And basically, the family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then at the stroke of midnight, a storm rages, Nana is found dead, and an hour later, the next family member follows. This is obviously in vein of And then there were None by Agatha Christie, which I have read. I'm very proud of myself, so it's kind of going on that regard. So I'm very interested in it. And a lot of people love Alice Feeney. So I've read 2 books by her, and I have enjoyed them, so I have high hopes for this one. And then the last book we have is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, also coming on August 30th. We all know how much I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Everyone loves Taylor Jenkins Reid. We all know this. But either way, I'm very excited for this one. This is the first time she's written a book where this character has already been introduced in another book. So Carrie Soto was first introduced in her last book last year called Malibu Rising. And Carrie Soto is a very popular tennis player. And basically, she is like she's good. She wins a lot of stuff. And she retires. And she's claimed like 20 Grand Slam titles. And so she retires and things like that. But 6 years after her retirement, Carrie finds herself sitting in the stands of the 1994 U.S. Open, watching her record be taken from her by a brutal, stunning player by Nikki. At 37 years old, Carrie's like, no, this girl ain't taking my titles. I'm going back in. And so she's like, you know what? I'm gonna show them what it's about. And so that's what it's about. So her body doesn't move as fast, and even if it means swallowing her pride to train with a man she once almost opened her heart to, like her, she has something to prove before he gives up the game forever. So she obviously doesn't want her record to be stolen, but I mean, it happens. Sports, come on. But I'm interested in this one. I'm not as super excited as I thought I would be because I don't know. The more time I get away from Malibu Rising, the more I think that I didn't love it as much as I thought I did. So we'll have to see what this one. Either way, this summer has a lot of books that I want to read. Obviously, all the books I told you today are all books I want to read. Will I read them all? We'll have to see. I'd love to know what books you're anticipating for the summer months. Please let me know down in the comments because I always miss some because I'm never as good as I think I am with researching. But I'd love to know which books you're anticipating. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.